Welcome to the Bills Kickoff Live post-game show. The Bills season comes to an end in disappointing fashion once again, this time here in Denver in overtime. 33-30 is the final. I'm Josh Reed alongside Thad Brown. Back in the studio, we've got Carl Jones. He's going to be joining us coming up a little bit later on in the show. Thad, there's so many things to just kind of absorb from this game and kind of go over. Let's start, though, with the three kind of controversial calls, and they all went against the Bills at the end of the game in an overtime.
So let's start with the Brandon Cooks catch interception. I understand what the league is saying, apparently, and what I think Gene Steratore said on the broadcast, that it doesn't seem like he has enough control to have a catch. I'm not sure. It's close. I really thought it was not surviving the ground, but that apparently is not what the rule is. Either way, here's the place I land on this. They should still be looking at this play now.
100%.
They should have looked at that play for an hour. I don't care how long it takes. Look at every angle. Get Zabruder out here. Find out what exactly. Use every resource you have to make sure you feel okay about that call. I think there's an argument for that Cooks doesn't have possession and that the defensive back came up with the ball. But I want to watch it more. We spent the last 3 minutes looking at it right now. I'm still not sure. So that's where I land on that one. Taron Johnson pass interference. Didn't like the call. There's a little restriction on the right hand there. I understand what they're looking for. But at the end of the day, that one didn't matter because Joey Bosa roughed the pass. It's still going to be a penalty anyway. The Trey White pass interference, that's probably one that should get called and will get called most of the time. What you're looking for with penalties most of the time is restriction. Are you preventing someone from going somewhere? Or on pass interference, are you preventing someone from being able to move an arm to make a catch? Trey White has the left arm and pins it to a degree down to towards the waist of the receiver there. So I think that one probably is a call. Now, you made the point that, look, they haven't called it at all during the game, and understand that. If you want to go through the rest of these calls and find something else that's comparable, then I'm going to be right with you. But the one on Trey White, I think, was probably the right call and probably does get called more often than not.
And I'm okay with that one more so than the Taron Johnson one. I land in the exact same spot with you. That one, I think you've got to eat your flag if you're the official. You've been eating it all game.
The Taron Johnson one?
The Taron Johnson one. I think you keep that in your pocket because, look, they were letting those guys, the receivers and the DBs, battle all game long. They weren't calling a lot. They weren't calling the ticky-tack stuff, and I felt like the Taron Johnson one landed in the category of ticky-tack. Here's the thing, though. None of those even matter if it's called a catch, a reception there by Brandon Cooks toward the end of the game.
For sure. The Brandon Cooks play would have saved it. It would have set the Bills up in just about give me field goal range. That was the play that certainly not decided this game, but put the Bills going in the wrong direction. We're going to talk a lot about all the calls, all the things that the officials did in the last minute of this game for a little while. Here's one thing to remember. The Bills committed 5 turnovers in that game. You don't get away with that too often.
Yeah, Josh Allen had a rough one. Let's hear from the Bills quarterback live.
And it's going to stick with me for a long time.
I think it ended up being 5 turnovers overall. I know it just happened, but can you kind of take us into it felt like you guys kind of
Yeah, can't win with 5 turnovers. I fumbled twice, threw 2 picks. When you shoot yourself in the foot like that, you don't deserve to win football games.
Josh, having said that, did it add the frustration kind of the way the game ended with a couple of questionable calls?
Yeah, I mean, losing that way regardless, losing in the playoffs is not fun, so.
Did you get an explanation on the Brandon Cooks play at the end?
No.
Can you process how the team was able to stay in the game all the way to that catch or interception play in overtime despite all the adversity?
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that's, again, we were battle tested all year. Down 2 scores at halftime. Come out, sack, fumble, hold them to 3. Find ourselves leading that game. And if 1 or 2 plays go our way, it's a different story.
Josh, the play at the end of the first half, you had 16 seconds, no timeouts. Why not just take a knee there and go into the half?
Just trying to be aggressive. Can't do that.
Josh, what did you say to your teammates?
I haven't been doing a lot of talking other than I love my teammates, and I'm extremely sorry. I'm disappointed in how this ended.
Josh, you mentioned this has been a long year. Is there anything in particular that's sticking out to you about this season?
Not at the moment. Thank you, guys.
That was Bills quarterback Josh Allen. As you can tell, he was very emotional following this one. Look, Josh is a warrior. We've said it all season long. You know, he's deserving of being a former MVP. He was last year. But you need to win games on the road in the postseason. You need your best players to not play great some of the game. You need them to play great all of the game. And here's the thing, Josh Allen and James Cook, they're the best two players on the Bills roster, in my opinion. They had 5 turnovers. James Cook had the fumble. Josh Allen threw 2 picks and had 2 fumbles. You just cannot have that. We heard time and time again this season from Josh Allen. When we don't turn over the ball, we're pretty hard to beat. And he's right. When they do turn over the ball, they can get beat by anybody. In particular, a good team that's a #1 overall seed.
This game right here is going to be Exhibit A for that argument, because they made the margin of error so small for themselves in this game because of the turnovers. And we're looking at the big number, right? The 5 number. Let's talk a little now about the turnover at the end of the first half, which right this second looks like the absolute worst play you could possibly make. Now, I don't have a problem with Sean McDermott and Joe Brady turning Josh Allen loose in that spot. He's, like you said, the reigning MVP. He's a guy you trust in that situation. But Josh Allen has to absolutely know better than to dangle the ball out there as he's scrambling to the 40-yard line in a spot where he doesn't have timeouts. You're probably not getting another playoff anyway. You got to be a whole lot smarter there. And that 3 points, as any 3 points is going to be when we talk about this game, is the difference in the game. He was amazing, other than the turnovers, which is, you know, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln kind of thing. But the turnovers were the thing at the end of the day that beat the Bills. Yeah, the refs kind of threw some things into the end, but the reason the Bills lost this game is 5 turnovers.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's revisit the end of the first half, because, you know, we had a little break there to grab a quick bite to eat up in the press box, and I'm sitting there, and Eric Wood comes out of the play-by-play booth. We actually sit there. We had a quick little drink together, and we're talking, and we both agreed. I think that was a terrible decision, just to do anything there. Take a knee right there. They got the ball with 16 seconds left. You're pinned so deep. You've got, first of all, it's almost all negative that can come out of that. Even if there's a pass interference down the field, okay? Yeah. Now you're running Matt Prater out, who's got a bad quad. If he tries to rev it up and really kick a deep one, all of a sudden maybe he gets dinged. I don't know. I think a turnover or Josh Allen injury is more likely to happen than anything else just in that scenario.
Well, I mean, your argument looks pretty good, because a turnover did happen. Yeah. Are you sure there's 16 seconds left? I want to try to look up.
Well, yeah, because I think it was 22. Oh, but that was at the kickoff. Right. Then they returned the kickoff, so there was 16 on the first play.
I'll look at it again as my phone fires up. I'm going to stand where I stood before. When I stood there, watched the play, when I saw them snap the ball, when I saw Josh Allen run with the ball, how many times has Josh Allen done the right thing? I have no problem at all with the Bills trying to turn him loose. The Bills have seen 13 seconds. Sure. You have to get to a field goal. Now, that was with timeout, so a different situation. But I will not have a problem with allowing Josh Allen to make a play there. I have a problem with Josh Allen not knowing what his #1 priority there is, which is protect the ball.
That's also 13 seconds. It's also with Harrison Butker as your kicker versus Matt Prater.
Matt Prater made a 50-yarder when it mattered in this game.
I know, but looking at it, like, if they get it to the 45, you're talking over 60 yards. I just don't think.
Well, I'll say this. Once Josh Allen starts to scramble, and I don't know if you have a word with him or you just trust your veteran quarterback to know it, once he starts to scramble with 16 seconds to go, no timeouts, the half is over.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you can't throw the ball, then just take the knee. And again, I go back to that being on the quarterback. We cannot excuse the Josh Allen play here with, well, maybe the Bills shouldn't have tried anything. It's Josh Fleepin' Allen. Trying things with Josh Allen is how this team is built, and it's not a bad way to go about it, because he's just that good.
All right, let's talk big picture now. When you look at this season, I mean, we're going to be able to dissect this 500 different ways. But once again, we're standing here in the playoffs with the Bills not being able to get to the ultimate goal, and that is to get to the Super Bowl and play for the whole dang thing. And here we are again, shooting video of Josh Allen walking off the field defeated and just kind of depressed and knowing that he's going home for the offseason.
The long-term fallout from this game is going to be hard to swallow for a lot of the offseason. Number one, Bo Nix played better in this game than Josh Allen did. I think there's no other way to talk about it. And it doesn't mean that Bo Nix is a better player, but obviously Bo Nix didn't have 4 turnovers, and Bo Nix did lead the come-from-behind drive at the end. Josh Allen did too, but Bo Nix was the better quarterback. The Bills in this game didn't run into Patrick Mahomes. They didn't run into Joe Burrow at the height of his powers, and that Cincinnati offense rolling. They were better than this team. I think we all saw, other than the 5 turnovers, the Bills were, I think, pretty clearly the superior team. They beat themselves. They didn't lose to they didn't lose to a great coach, great coordinator, incredible plays. They lost to themselves.
Yeah.
They gave this game away.
Yeah, and, beating themselves is something that they've run into multiple times this year, where you go into a game and you go, hey, maybe the biggest enemy to the Bills in this game is the actual Bills, and it happened again here. We're going to take a quick break. More Bills Kickoff Live post-game show coming up right after this. Welcome back to the Bills Kickoff Live post-game show. Bills season comes to an end here in Denver. 33-30 is your final in overtime. That as we continue to go over all the different scenarios and things that played out in this one. Turnovers is something that we've talked about a ton this year. We've heard Josh Allen talking about a ton. Being able to avoid those and helping yourself win games. The other thing that we've talked about a ton this year is missed tackles. And it showed up again today in Denver. And one of the biggest culprits all season has been Joey Bosa, and it happened again for 97 today.
It wasn't just Joey Bosa, though, but you're right. Joey Bosa's at the top of the list. Look, I think we found out about Joey Bosa, and this was not a surprise. People who followed him with the Chargers said this, too. He's just not a great run defender. And unfortunately, the Michael Hoyt injury, a number of different things, put him in a spot where he had to play that more than I think the Bills would have wanted to this season. Overall, they were pretty good against the run today.
Yeah.
That was maybe the surprise of this game, that the Bills dominated on the ground, unlike what they did last week. Last week they win, this week they lose. Defensively as a whole, the second half, I was just shaking my head at how good the Bills were. The adjustments we've heard about, the things that they did all season long at halftime, figuring things out, moving pieces around, figuring out how to get in front of an offense.
Cole Bishop, by the way.
Really good game.
Oh, my goodness.
Fantastic game.
I'll tell you what,
he missed a couple tackles, too, but you're right.
He did, but overall, we have seen the ascension of Cole Bishop, folks, because I don't want to sit here and just do all negatives, because there were some good things to take out of this. Cole Bishop, not just this game, but you go to the second half of this season, and even probably a little further back than that, going into next year, you know you've got yourself a safety back.
Look, I'll say right now, if you wanted to tell me that in 2 or 3 years he's an all-pro, I wouldn't blink at it. I think the ceiling is as high as it gets for Cole Bishop. But coming back to the defense as a whole here, as good as those adjustments were, when the Bills needed a stop, they couldn't make it against Bo Nix. Now, look, I know it's on the road, and again, we talked before about the turnovers make the margin for error small. This is a team that won 14 games, the Broncos, this year. In a half of football, they were probably going to put a drive together. But as good as that defense was in the second half, in the first half, it wasn't there. Some of it was injuries. The touchdown at the end of the first half is Darnell Savage coming in for one of the 3 plays that Cam Lewis missed in this game and making a mistake on a deep ball. So there were some things. But overall, this was not a good enough game for the Sean McDermott defense, even if for 27 minutes of the second half it was amazing.
I'm glad you brought up the Savage play, because it made me remember, okay, that's the point I wanted to bring up. 2 of the touchdowns the defense gave up, Cam Lewis goes out right before the half. Savage gives up the touchdown. The other one, Tre'Davious White gets dinged up, is standing here on the sideline. Dane Jackson goes into the game. What happens? Touchdown Broncos. And here's the thing. You've got to give Sean Payton a lot of credit for that, because Sean Payton and Bo Nix, they looked, not only is it a backup, it's a third-string backup, right? Because typically, if Trey White goes out, it would have been Max Hairston in the game, right? Maybe you're not trying to pick on Max Hairston. You see Dane Jackson go in the game and you go, targeting that guy.
This is what happens in the playoffs. This is why these teams get here. You don't win 14 games for not realizing, hey, I've got a weak matchup. I've got something I can exploit, and exploiting it. And give the Broncos credit. It's one thing to say, oh, cool, throw at that. It's another thing to hit a 30-something yard touchdown at the end of a half. The Broncos not only knew where to go, but Bo Nix made the plays.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened to Trey in that sequence right there, what knocked him out of the game, what injury happened there. But I was walking, switching ends, and I'm behind the bench, and I see Trey White just go. He's looking at the scoreboard. He sees it. He sees Dane behind the receiver. He sees the touchdown, and he just throws himself on the ground and starts stomping. I mean, it just ripped his guts out. You talk about Trey White. There's another unbelievable story from this season. I'm sure we'll talk about that coming up a little bit later on in the show. Let's go to the studio now. Carl Jones joins us for more.
I want to touch on the point that the fellas made earlier about the decision for Sean McDermott to go forward at the end of the half with 16 seconds left. I was all for it, and when I look back and look in totality of this Bills season, back in week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens, they had 25 seconds on the clock with no timeouts in order to go down the field and make something shake. Josh Allen completed 2 chunk plays, one to Khalil Shakir and one to Dalton Kincaid, and it set them up for a field goal that ultimately helped them win the game. So listen, you have 17 back there at quarterback. I see no problem with wanting him and putting the game in his hands and allowing him to make something shake there. Now, when I take a step back and I look at this game, I said it before the game. This time of year, we talk about coaches and all of the great game plans that they make, and oh my gosh, the adjustments. But the other coaching staff is great too. This time of year, it is more about your Jimmies and Joes and less so about the X's and O's. You need your stars to be stars in the postseason. When I look at the stars for the Buffalo Bills today, unfortunately, they didn't shine bright. And it starts with their quarterback, Josh Allen, a phenomenal player. He was the best player on planet Earth this season. But he had 4 turnovers. I don't care if it was Josh Allen, Matt Castle, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. It is unacceptable, and it's difficult to win when your quarterback has that many turnovers. And listen, all of them weren't his fault. One of them was a strip sack. The one right before half, don't like that decision right there. A couple of those plays, maybe that was a catch by Brandon Cooks, and that wouldn't be an interception. He would only have 3 instead of 4. But it's difficult to win when your quarterback is turning the ball over like that. And then also with James Cook, yes, he did have 140 total yards. He ran the ball well. He caught the ball well out of the backfield as well. But he also fumbled, and that led to 3 points for the Denver Broncos. You need your stars to be stars in the postseason, and unfortunately, those 2 players didn't shine bright. And then on the other side of the ball, talked about Joey Bosa. Hey, guys, let's put him on bubble wrap, because in the postseason, that's when you need him to get after the passer. He didn't make anything shake today. In fact, the only time that we heard his name was the roughing the passer at the end of the game. Now, having said that, we talk about the stars that didn't shine bright. Josh Reed is 100% right. That brother Cole Bishop balled out. The moment asked of him, hey, listen, buddy, Jordan Poyer won't be next to you today. I need you to go above and beyond sometime and make some plays. And 24 did that and then some. I am so excited for his trajectory going forward. And then also, I thought Christian Benford played a stout game. One-on-one against Cortland Sutton, big, 6'4", 215-pound receiver, their #1 guy. Can you take him out of the game? And for the most part, that's exactly what CB47 did. So this isn't all of the stars didn't shine bright, but unfortunately, their 2 best players this year, 4 and 17, didn't come through like the Bills needed them to today, and that's unfortunately a big reason why they are going home. I know we've been critical of Sean McDermott, whether it's here on this show, whether it's the fan base, whatever the case may be. I thought today he did about as good as you can given the circumstances that he had. Whether it was the fact that he did lose Darnell Savage, whether he did lose Cam Lewis, excuse me, and Darnell Savage had to come into the game. Whether it was Dane Jackson having to come in for Trey White, I thought that he made the best with what he had, and also the adjustment that he made in the second half to turn up the heat. He's saying, hey, listen, guys, we're going to double down and sometimes split aces if we got to. The fact that he felt and saw that the moment needed him to go after Bo Nix like that, I tip my cap to Sean McDermott and the Bills defensive staff. They did their jobs. We're going to take a quick break here on Bills Postgame Live. We got a whole lot more for you. Do not go anywhere. Don't touch that remote. We'll be right back.
What is it that makes an SUV extraordinary?
Welcome back to the Bills Kickoff Live post-game show. Bills season comes to an end in the divisional round of the playoffs here in Denver. The final score in overtime, was 33-30. We're going to hear from, or we're expecting to hear from Bills head coach Sean McDermott coming up here momentarily, and when he does take to the podium, we'll be sure to get that to you. Some injuries popped up during this game that ended up being pretty important. One of them was Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver, you know, he was coming back from the biceps injury that had him out of the lineup since the end of October. The other thing that happened when he was rehabbing from that was his knee. Remember, he had his meniscus cleaned up. He had his knee cleaned up a little bit. Well, something happened to his knee. I don't know if it was the same knee or not, but a knee injury put him on the sideline again during this game, about the midway point of the game, and he didn't come back in. And up until he got hurt, he had been on the field a lot. We saw a lot of him. You know the other thing? The very first play of the game, the kickoff, Dorian Williams gets hurt, leaves the game, and Bo Nix didn't kill him with his legs, but he made just enough plays that they missed Dorian Williams on those.
Look, when you lose by 3 in overtime, where there's 3 possessions in overtime and both teams score in the final minute, we could go up and down the 100 things that happened in this game and say every single one is a reason that the Bills lost this game. Going back to that Oliver, I did see him on the sideline after the injury happened. He was standing. He seemed like he was okay, but he did not have a helmet. He was not going back in the game. So I don't know if we want to speculate about what happened. Clearly, it was a knee. I think the safe assumption is that something happened to the knee injury he previously had. But I was thinking about the Dorian Williams injury, because the number of times the Bills this year have gone with 3 linebackers. That meant a lot of time for Balen Spector in this game, which I'm sure is a guy the Bills would not prefer to have being on the field at this point in the year. And we just talked about it in the break. Remember, the Bills did put a claim in for Darius Slay, and it cost them Jamarcus Ingram.
Yep.
And at the end of the game, when they needed a corner, they had to put Dane Jackson in. And I've always been a Dane Jackson supporter, but obviously he wasn't good enough on that play. If they have either Slay or Ingram, I think it's fairly safe to assume that Dane Jackson's not the guy in the field there. Does that mean those guys make the play either? I don't know, but it is something that affected how this game ended.
Yeah, I thought the Bills' defensive line was good against the run, but they were just non-existent at getting to the quarterback. I mean, Bo Nix had, when he did stay in the pocket, hit all the time in the world. I know they rolled him out quite a bit in this, especially to the right. I mean, I don't know that I remember a play where he rolled to the left. Every time he rolled out, it was always to the right. But man, the pass rush was non-existent. And when you spend all these resources off-season after off-season on shoring up the defensive line and trying to find ways to get pressure on the quarterback, and you still can't get it done, you got to reevaluate it again this offseason.
I think when we go back and watch the film, I feel like there's going to be more instances of Joey Bosa and Ed Oliver at least creating pressure, moving Bo Nix off his spot. And while that's not going to make anybody feel better about the game right now, that is what their job is. But to your point, it's not nearly good enough, especially for the resources that, like you said, the Bills put into that defensive line this year. A big new contract for Greg Rousseau, a big free agent spend more or less for Joey Bosa. Obviously, Ed Oliver's been hurt all year. It's hard to put a lot on him in his first game back, but you expect that guy to have an impact, and none of the 3 of them did nearly enough. Now, this is also the best pass-protecting offensive line in football in the Broncos, the team that had given up the least sacks all year long. And now, they were without their starting center, but it's not crazy to think that they won that battle. Regardless, the Bills, here we are again, and after a playoff loss, talking about how the Bills need to address the defensive line and find better pass rushers.
Yeah, the one guy I did like today was Deion Walker. I thought he made some plays, man. He is just a monster. In fact, if you're watching the game at home, they showed a replay of Deion getting really nice pressure on Bo Nix. He actually got held on the play. The referee decided to keep the flag in his back pocket, but on that play, you probably saw the slow motion, and Walker's shirt comes all the way up, and things move differently in slow motion. But Deion is a big boy, man.
Let the man live. Let the man live. Yeah.
All right, let's head in live to Bills head coach Sean McDermott.
At the end of the game to win it. Didn't fall our way, but I'm extremely proud of how hard the guys played. We had some guys go down again, and some other guys stepped in and gave it all they had. So tough way to end the season. But I'm proud of the guys. I really am proud of them. Time's yours.
Sean, Josh came in and he was visibly in tears. We've never seen him like that, at least out here. Just how distraught was this loss for everybody in there?
Yeah, well, you get a chance. You're coming on the road 2 weeks in a row, and the guys fought their butts off, man. And they know what they put out there in terms of the commitment, the effort, the toughness, the grit. What more could you ask for? Opportunities to win the game. We had a few of them, and at the end of the day, they didn't work out. And that's hard. You know, you go into this, and you put a lot into it all season long, including this week, and that's why you play the game, though, at the same time. And these guys will learn. You learn some lessons from this game, and sometimes hard lessons.
Can you take us into that sequence on the Brandon Cooks, what ended up being the interception, the timeout, and what you were told?
Yeah, so obviously I don't have the power to challenge, right? We're in overtime, so the flag is not an option to throw it down. So I called a timeout to try and get the process to slow down, because it seemed like the process was not slowing down. It was a rather rapid unfolding of the review, if there was a review, and so I called a timeout to try and slow it down. It would seem logical to me. It would seem logical to me that and make a lot of sense that the head official would walk over and want to go and take a look at it just to make sure that everybody from here who is in the stadium to there are on the same page. That's too big of a play, in my estimation, too big of a play, in a play that decided the game potentially as well, to not even slow it down. And that's why I had to call the timeout. It's not what I wanted to do, but I had to do it in order to make sure that I understood what was going on and that they did take a look at it. And it's hard for me to, and I've had a chance to look at it, it's hard for me to understand why it was ruled the way it was ruled. And if it is ruled that way, then why wasn't it slowed down? Just to make sure that we have this right. That would have made a lot of sense to me, to make sure that we have this thing right, because that's a pivotal play in the game. We have the ball at the 20, maybe kicking a game-winning field goal right there. So I'll just leave it at that. But I'm saying it because I'm standing up for Buffalo, damn it. I'm standing up for us. Because what went on is not how it should go down, in my estimation. That play, these guys spent 3 hours out there playing football, pouring their guts out, to not even say, hey, let's just slow this thing down. That's why I'm bothered.
In your eyes, was it catch down by contact?
In my eyes, it was. Yes, in my eyes, it was. But even if it wasn't, okay, let's just say that, and I'm being objective. Even if it wasn't, the players are owed, to me, hey, let's stop it, let's slow it down, let's put the head referee and give him a chance to look at the monitor just to make sure.
Once you called the timeout and you were able to have a discussion, had their minds already been made up, or was there anything?
Well, when I called the timeout, I said, hey, I asked Brad Allen on our sideline, who was assisting us on our sideline, I said, hey, can you get Carl over here? And Carl came over. And those guys were great. They were great. And I said, hey, what did you see? And then somebody said, hey, New York has confirmed. New York has confirmed. And from that point, it was a moot point. We were moving on. Had I not called timeout, they were just moving on, it appeared. Now, in the process that was going on before I called timeout, I can't tell you what that was, in all fairness, right there. So when I finally got communication was when I called the timeout, and then we went from there. So, and this is not about, hey, we lost, so it's not about that at all. You play the game and you play it fair and square. I just again wish, I just for the sake of the players and all the time and energy that was spent, 3 hours, 70+ minutes of a game, that was a pivotal play. That's all I'm saying.
John, there were a million plays in this game, but at the end of the first half, why the decision with no timeouts in 16 seconds to try to do something rather than just kneel it down or hand it off?
Yeah, I thought about it. Wanted to see if we could get just take one play and see if we could get a little bit of a chunk, towards the sideline. If it's not there, let's throw it out of bounds. Wanted to see if we could get a little bit of a chunk and maybe get a field goal before half. Wanted to be aggressive, but didn't work out.
Coach Josh, when he was so emotional here, he basically put the loss on his shoulders.
Yeah, it's not on him.
Tell him.
No, it's not on him. No, it's not on him. We had opportunities, all of us. And I'm extremely proud of him. He's a tremendous person, tremendous leader, tremendous quarterback. And, yeah, there's plays we all want back. Yeah, again, in the second half, I thought first half, you know, we didn't play as well as we could have. Second half, Bobby and the staff made some adjustments. Players stepped up, seemed to understand the adjustments, and we shut them down pretty good. And, you know, that last exchange of the OT there, they got in a spot where, you know, they got a good field goal kicker who can hit from, you know, 58, 60 plus. So it's just, we were just trying to, you know, knock them back if we could. So we ended up playing man or zero quite a bit, and that's what led to some of the DPIs there.
What happened on the Dane Jackson play on Mark Williams touchdown?
Yeah, just man-to-man situation there, and they made a play.
Sean, injuries all year have just been so hard for you. But that play, you lose Trey for the one play.
Yeah.
You lost Cam Lewis, and they go right at second.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You can't make this shit up. I mean,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's partly on them. Give them credit for attacking where there was somebody who wasn't, you know, the player who's normally there. But at the same time, you know, again, I give our guys, you know, we've been Rolodexing lineups all season long, and you know, nobody shied away from going out there. Nobody shied away from, you know, doing their job, trying to do their job to the best of their ability.
Sean, how do you settle the loss, but how you feel about your team's stones, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, I mean, that's how this team was. I mean, every team takes on their own identity. Some are finesse, some are physical. This team was physical. This team was tough. This team, you know, was next man up quite a bit of the year, and we grew from it, and they grew from it, and I think that's a remarkable thing about them. And to come here and battle like they did, even in the midst of, again, injuries right from the first play with Dorian, and you know, I think that's you know, I love these guys. I really do. They gave us all they had.
Is there a report on him, or maybe
I don't have an update. I know he was taken to the hospital. I don't have an update yet. All right. Thank you, guys.
An emotional Sean McDermott there following the Bills' playoff loss. We're going to take a quick break. We'll react to what the Bills head coach had to say coming up after this break.
Welcome on back to Bills Kickoff Live, the post-game show. Before we went to break, Sean McDermott addressed the media and talked about the controversial play in overtime where Brandon Cooks play that ended up being an interception. He broke down his thought process. He called timeout right after that play in hopes of, hey, slowing things down, maybe allowing New York to get it in and give a full replay for what happened. And I just want to read the exact quote that he had because I think it's important. He said, quote, "It is hard for me to understand why it was ruled the way that it was ruled. It was too big of a play not for it to get reviewed." And I am with him 110% on that one. We see plays all the time about spontaneous possession with a receiver coming down for a pass and a DB ripping it out, and you don't know who the ball goes to. And they always review that. More often than not, they take it to New York or an off-site official to really look at it. And in a spot that big, it really shocked me, and I'm sure all of Western New York, and maybe even the country at large, that the referees didn't take the time to really digest and see what happens. Listen, I don't know if they overturned that play. For me, it was a catch by Brandon Cooks. But even if they don't overturn it, for my money, they still should have took the time to look over that play. That play is going to get talked about for quite some time, and rightfully so. If he catches that ball, the Bills are in field goal range, and they probably end the game there off the leg of Matt Prater. Heartbreaking play, but I do really love the fact that Sean McDermott not just laid out his thought process in that moment, but he also stood up for Buffalo when he said in that presser, he also added that he is standing up for the city of Buffalo with the comments that he made post-game. I do want to address something really fast about how unique this game played out. The Buffalo Bills had 11 possessions and didn't punt one time. The problem is they turned the ball over 5 times. And it is extremely hard in a postseason environment where the possessions are limited and they are so valuable that when you turn the ball over 5 times, it's hard to beat anyone. I don't care if it's Bo Nix or Matt Schwab. Like, it is so hard to live in that fashion. And unfortunately, like we talked about earlier, that it was their 2 best players that were responsible for those plays. Tough way to live if you are the Buffalo Bills. Another stat that I just got during the commercial break, Josh Allen was 0 for 9 on throws 20 yards or more down the field with 2 interceptions. It's a tough way to live, and that's a sum of everything that's going on. The protection maybe wasn't great. The Broncos DBs were awesome. The Bills wide receivers weren't up to par, weren't up to maybe the caliber that is required to win a Super Bowl. And then also, Josh Allen just is off target today. No bueno. All that together is how you come up short in the AFC divisional round. Let's take a quick break here on Bills Kickoff Live, the post-game show. We got a whole lot more. We're going to send this bad boy back out to Denver after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Bills Kickoff Live post-game show. The Bills season comes to an end here in Denver, 33-30, the final from overtime. This game had a little bit of everything in it and a whole lot of Bills turnovers. Thought it was an interesting stat that they showed during the broadcast that road teams who lose the turnover battle by 3 or more, they are now 1-86. You just can't turn the ball over as much as the Bills did. The 5 turnovers, of course, Josh accounted for 4 of those. James Cook had another one. And we got the full Josh Allen experience in this one because he dug them the hole, but then he helped them climb out of it. He basically carried them back out of the hole. But, man, there was a throw late in the game that I don't want to gloss over. He had Dawson Knox open, and he overshot him, and it would have been a huge game.
It was the last throw he had in regulation before the 50-yard kick from Matt Prater to tie the game and force overtime. Now, look, it looks like a tough throw. He's on the move. Dawson Knox is a good 25 yards downfield. It wasn't like he was wide open, but he was 100% open, and Allen overshot it. But this goes back to the point you made about the turnovers, and we talked about it earlier in the show. When you make that many turnovers, when you give away so many possessions, so many opportunities for the other team to score points, you make your margin for error so small that you have to hit those plays. You can't miss. You have to get the calls from the ref to go your way. And that's what the ultimate undoing of the Bills was in this game. Let's go back to Sean McDermott here and the comments he made
talk about that,
with how the situation with the Cooks play was handled at the end. And he has a very good point about slowing things down and taking time. Now, look, to back up and take a 1,000-foot view of it, how often have we heard people complain about replay? It takes too long. Why do we replay everything? This is kind of this is the result of that. When the fans tell you over and over, we hate replay, we don't want it to take too long, you end up with a spot like this where the league's like, we're pretty sure it's right, apparently, we're going to move on. Regardless, that play should have been handled, as we talked about top of the show, with more time, more care, more effort than it was. It doesn't mean that the call was wrong. It doesn't even mean that it would have been overturned. But the way it was handled is inconsistent with how the league handles so many other things, to my point I just made about how people complain about replay. It was the wrong way to do it, and Sean McDermott is right about that.
100%. I loved Sean McDermott's answer and the emotion behind it. I mean, he brought up, we work, going all the way back to the end of summer. It starts at St. John Fisher, even before that with the OTAs and all. And to have it decided by not the players and decided by the officials is just wrong.
It was decided by the players.
It was decided by But he's saying to let them decide it. I'm with you. That might have been the right call.
Yeah.
It may have been. You have to take longer to make sure that it's the right call. We're going to take a quick break. A whole lot more of Bills Kickoff Live post-game show coming up after this.
Welcome on into Bills Kickoff Live, the post-game show. Let's talk about James Cook for a second here. The good and the bad. Let's get the bad out of the way. The fumble, obviously, was no bueno. It was the 7th fumble this year. He led all running backs in that department this year, and he led to 3 points by the Denver Broncos. Having said that, though, He did a phenomenal job of putting this team on his back, especially through the first 3.5 quarters when they needed him to do so. 24 carries, 4.9 yards per, with 141 total yards. There were a lot of questions this offseason. Can James Cook be a bell cow to lead you deep into a year? Can he be the player that puts the game on ice? And it didn't happen today, but I thought that he answered those questions emphatically, not just today, but all season long. No, he did not play A++ James Cook today. That fumble is brutal. All 5 of the fumbles, turnovers that they had today ended up costing them. But don't get it twisted. Against an elite Denver defense that is really good at also stopping the run, he found ways to make things shake. That first drive of the game, I thought he made a couple guys miss and ended up having a few explosive plays. There are going to be some questions about surrounding Josh Allen with playmakers this offseason, and I think there's a lot of merit to those conversations, especially at the wide receiver position. But don't get it twisted. They have an all-pro superstar back there, a running back. Sign still delivered. You ain't got to worry about James Cook going forward. All right, let's take one more quick break here on Bills Kickoff Live. We got a lot to discuss on the Bills season ending today in Denver. We'll be here right back.
Game show. The Bills season comes to an end. So does Bo Nix's season.
Amazing.
Some breaking news just came down that he actually broke a bone in his foot and is now done for the year. Or ankle, sorry. And is now done for the year.
I just can't imagine what it's like. I mean, both locker rooms right now are upset. The Broncos get to play next week, but that's the kind of injury that will totally sap any energy you have. If it had happened on a Wednesday, this is the kind of thing that absolutely just, to use the word to kind of, no pun intended here, breaks a team.
Yeah.
And as one of the things that I will take from this game, it has nothing to do with the Bills, I was impressed with Bo Nix. I've not been a Bo Nix fan. He was pretty darn good in this game. He wasn't spectacular. Obviously hit the throw at the end of the game, and I know it's Dane Jackson, but that's not a big window he hit. He did everything you want out of your starting quarterback, and a guy who's in year 2, playoff game 2. I was very impressed, and now he won't have a chance to build on it. I don't know who the Denver backup is off the top of my head, but it is certainly a significantly...
Jake Plummer?
Probably not at this point.
No, Jake Plummer's not still around.
I think he's older than we are, buddy. I think he's older than we are.
92. You're right, though. Bo Nix, I thought he kind of reminded me of what we saw from Josh Allen last week down in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. You know, he didn't make mistakes. You know, just kind of guided the offense. And every time they needed to convert on third down, he seemed to make the right play. Mm-hmm. He didn't beat them.
This game was very much a carbon copy of the last Bills game, except the quarterbacks were reversed. Josh Allen was the one making mistake after mistake, and the other guy was the one who played clean. Even the one interception he had, that's Deion Walker not going to pass down to the line of scrimmage, making an incredible play. It's not really on the quarterback.
Special teams, let's talk about them real quick before we do take a break here. Matt Prater with a really nice field goal there to get the game into overtime, and there was a big play in that overtime. The punt that pinned the Bills down to the 7-yard line. Let's not gloss over that. That was huge because the Bills were getting the ball back after making a stand in overtime, and they had to start at the 7.
The thing about that, too, was the stadium was dead. They had seen the offense fail most of the second half. That punt goes out of bounds at the 8, and all of a sudden people were jacked up again. And for no particular reason, because I think the odds-on was Josh Allen was going to lead the team down the field and kick a field goal no matter where they started with the ball. But it was an important play. Back to Prater. Very impressed. Did everything you'd ask. Hit a 50-yarder with the whole season on the line. A guy they brought in earlier this year. He had a really good season for the Bills. It's too bad it's over today.
More BKL post-game show coming up after the break.
The great big...
The Bills season comes to an end in Denver. 33-30's the final. Thanks for watching the BKL postgame show.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.